Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Simon Bard here, or you can call me Sully. On February 5th, 2021, Christopher Plummer passed away at the age of 91, leaving behind a huge legacy of films, from his most famous role in The Sound of Music to his final role in Knives Out. And whether it's from voicing characters in films like Up and Rockadoodle, or playing obscure roles in films like A Beautiful Mind and The Man Who Invented Christmas, there's always something that's quite surprising and even unexpected. But the one thing that I'm reviewing that he's featured in is surprisingly my introduction to him. It's an animated special released on HBO in 1988 and is based on a popular children's book, Madeline. The special is based on the book of the same name by Ludwig Bemmelmans, and this special would spawn a few specials, a TV series, a couple of movies, and a PC game called Madeline's European Adventures. In Paris, France, there lived 12 girls with their caretaker, Miss Clavel, doing many things during their daily routines, such as smiling at the good and frowning at the bad. Yet one of them, named Madeline, is the smallest and bravest of the girls. She has a big imagination, likes to play pranks, loves the winter, isn't afraid of mice and tigers, and sometimes likes to scare Miss Clavel when walking on the edge of a bridge. But one day, Madeline seems depressed to do anything she loves, and by that same night, she starts to cry and is taken to the hospital by Dr. Cohn, as Madeline has an appendix. And as she gets better with her appendix out, the other girls go through some odd adventures themselves. Now, even though this special was my introduction to Christopher Plummer, it was also one of the videos that I grew up watching, and while I didn't like it as a kid and still kinda do nowadays, it is odd to rewatch it again for all the strange and particular little moments that occur in it when looking back at it. Not to say that these moments in the special are bad, they're just odd to notice, especially when having grown up with it and looking back at it again, thinking that it might need some improvement. Or in other words, general nitpicking. There's occasions when the special would hold on a shot for too long, or Madeline holds on a note for too long. There's times when the narrator would speak for Miss Clavel and not have the actress say her dialogue, and then there's times that are very questionable. Like, why would a zoo be open during winter? Aren't the animals feeling cold? I can buy a clown being out in the snow, but zoo animals being out is something else entirely. And speaking of snow, nobody questions or mentions a living snowman standing by the frozen lake. Not even the narrator. And it's the same snowman the following winter. I doubt it's someone dressed as a snowman or even part of Madeline's imagination, because Madeline took a bite of its carrot nose when it greets her, and the snowman brought out some mice from its hat. And why do the girls in Miss Clavel need Madeline to scare off the tiger? They can just go by it without her, and they did when looking for her at the zoo. Yes, they go by the zoo every day, but is it really necessary? Though I will give it this, it did provide a funny reaction from the tiger when Madeline gives it a pathetic little poo. But one thing that's made interesting, and that for some reason isn't taken full advantage of, is when Madeline does her pranks. From the beginning, the girls would stay up late to have fun, with Madeline starting things up by doing pillow fights, and once all the girls fight, Madeline would scare the girls with her hand shadows, and again by moving the springs under her bed, where the girls pile on. Of course, the latter doesn't fool the girls and says she tricks them every night. But when Madeline becomes sick, the girls never question if it's one of her pranks or not, and instead thought of it to be a dream, when it really happened. Yet it is surprising that not once do the girls think Madeline being sick is a prank, and no scene of it exists, as there's only a song Miss Clavel sings when running to the girls' bedroom. Though speaking of which, the songs in this special are pretty much okay. All done by the Sesame Street writer Joe Raposo, with Judy Rothman providing additional lyrics. They're all alright, a bit catchy, and pretty well animated. And two of my favorites are Madeline's theme song and Miss Clavel's song. Yet a couple of the songs are odd with some of their context, like one of these songs is about Madeline's scar, and Miss Clavel's song has the chorus, "Something is not right, something is quite wrong, something is not right, and so I sing the song." Like, couldn't there be another word to rhyme with wrong? It just feels a bit strange here. But there's also a few moments that are quite funny or pretty nice to see. Such as when Madeline went to the hospital, the other girls mess up their daily routines, smiling at the bad, frowning at the good, and brushing their bread. It's quite funny for them to do this with Madeline not being with them, and a little bit of chaos ensues. And some bits of animation are quite good, and not just within the songs. One of them being a nice transition from 12 Small Bells in Notre Dame to the 12 marching girls outside the house. It looks pretty neat. As for the actors voicing the characters, there isn't many photos of the actors and only two exist. Tara Strand, then credited as Tara Tarrandolph, voices Chloe, one of her earlier roles, and the late Christopher Plummer as the narrator. So let's wrap it up. As a whole, this special is rather fine. The characters are good, the story is nice, the songs are okay, and the animation is alright. Director Stephen Martinelli had made a decently sweet special all around the smallest French girl from children's literature. Yet while this was part of my childhood growing up, seeing this on VHS and having fond memories of, it's also somewhat odd to look back on, with an occasional nitpick here and there, and the special ending the same way as the book, but with no additional moment of Madeline returning to her friends and Miss Clavel. But overall, it's a fine little special. One obscure enough to be part of my childhood, yet one good enough to be my introduction to Christopher Plummer. And I can't even dislike it nowadays for those reasons. So today, this special will be given a rating of 2.5+ stars. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video. And let me just say, I hope there isn't anything else that is bad for this year so far. I mean, what else could be possibly worse than all the deaths we had now? So let's see here what news there is to be found. Well, I found one that is worse. And this time, it's personal. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video. And I gotta say, I hope there isn't anything else that is bad and I don't want to do it again. So today, this special will be given a rating of 2.5+ stars. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video. And go, okay. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video. And let me just say, I hope there isn't any more bad news to come out of this year alone. I mean, seriously, what more could be possibly worse than any of the deaths that we had so far? Well, except for this one, which is quite personal. And that's pretty sleek. Yeah. Okay, that was too much. Alright, I'm gonna try that again.